Hey guys, it's Maria Park, and welcome back to Approach the Nerd. If you were with me at my Owl House stream earlier today, I appreciate you hanging out with me. And now it's time to basically discuss another show that I'm really into, Kung Fu on the CW. Episode 9 is entitled Isolation, and it basically is very isolating for a lot of the characters in this, as well as some that have kind of partnered up. So we have a little bit of we have some partners in this that are a little unconventional in this series as well, which I thought was interesting. But let's start with Lady Z, Zelon. I call her Lady Z. If you're not familiar with this, this is your first Kung Fu review with me. That's what I refer to. I'm Akash Zilan. I call her Lady Z. Hi, Serenity. So Lady Z is partnered up basically with a guy named Kerwin Tan, who is the son of basically the same Tan that's been trying to get the sword from Lady Z's family for years. He's actually been trying to get all of the weapons. And so she's basically shacking up with the son because they have something kind of romantic going on. They've been sleeping together. Plus, they're working on trying to find the last two weapons that Lady Z needs to be able to take over the world, I guess. She wants to take over the world and then reshape it in the way she sees fit. I will tell you, Lady Z reminds me a lot of Lady Baroness from G.I. Joe. Just throwing it out there. But yeah, they're teaming up together and, they start kind of opening up to each other, talking about, their past traumas. Lady Z says that she's very good at enduring pain because she's had like spinal correction surgeries, like leg extensions, experimental surgeries. And so pain is how she honed her fighting skills, which is probably why she has no problem fighting Nikki, because she doesn't really care about the pain and it's not really a threat to her. And then also her anger, she says, comes from betrayal, which I still believe is fueled by Pei Ling, or, Nikki's Sifu, Lady Z's sister, for accidentally killing their father. She feels that that's a betrayal, and everything after that is a betrayal. Anything that's against her is automatically a betrayal. So basically, Lady Z never got therapy. That's what's happening. This is all a revenge thing over that one moment in time because of her sister. And just kind of went downhill from there. So yeah, they're teamed up and they're going to Myanmar because apparently that's where another of the weapons they need is going to be. I don't know what's going to happen between Kerwin and her once she gets both of those weapons, if she gets both of those weapons, because Nikki's also trying to find them. But if she does get them, she's more than likely going to kill him. And the only reason that he's doing it is he wants to get back at his father, because his father is also an a-hole. His father treated his kids like crap, and he also gave them numbers and as basically in levels of importance, like you're number 1, you're number 2, or you're number 3. And Kerwin was actually number 3, and he got so angry he went in and drove his car into a tree, and his hand got trapped between the seat and the steering wheel, and he damaged his hand. So this is a revenge thing for him too, which is probably why Lady Z hasn't killed him and why they get along so well, because essentially they are pretty much the same person. I don't know if he would kill like her, but outside of that, definitely very similar personalities. So very dangerous company. So they literally are like Destro and the Baroness in my mind. So it's very weird. Now I'll get to something that I want to talk about the most in this episode, but I have to talk about Nikki's journey, even though she's like literally the lead, protagonist in this. I was more interested in what was happening with some of the other characters. So Nikki goes on this journey because in the last episode, her mother, Mei-Ling, gave her a box full of her aunt's, like letters. And one of the letters, she finds a little carving of a red panda. And so first Henry gets on this conspiracy board and gets information about the panda. And he finds kind of figures out the woman that she's looking for through rumors is a woman who's been in like a green, jacket, like Native American style or First Nations jacket. And she went by Sandra Yang. And so they're trying to figure out where Sandra Yang is because they still have no location. And so Evan comes through with a contact who is able to trace her, and they find out that the panda and all that are from Canada. So they decide they're going on a road trip. Evan says he's going to go because Henry said he was going to go, and both of them are into Nikki. Now, on this road trip, I really found it interesting just how Evan and Henry started bonding. Like they, were both grooving to a song that they both should not have been grooving to and listening to in the car. They go to this bar to try and figure out where this person is that had a connection with the aunt, because they find out that the carving was made by this guy, and they were trying to go figure out where he is. They approach his son, and it starts this bar fight. And the bar fight is pretty much really the only fight we see in the entire episode. So there wasn't a lot of kung fu in this episode, but they have the bar fight, and Evan ends up helping Henry in the fight, which I thought was interesting. And so that was the beginning of their bromance. Basically, by the time they get to the guy's house, and Nikki is talking to him, trying to figure out information about the aunt. He's being very untrustworthy, and she literally has to call her mother so her mother can explain how about Sandra Yang to him, so he'll know that they're really talking about her aunt. But it's really funny to me. By the time they get there, like Henry and Evan are like bros. It's like I kept thinking, just forget Nikki, just hang out with each other. But true to form, Nikki convinces the guy that she's really the niece, and he says, "Oh, I haven't seen her in over 4 years, but I think she lives in a cabin somewhere, and I came close to it, and I can give you some supplies." And he's like, "But she's not gonna. If she sees you coming, she's not gonna want to be found." And so Nikki decides to not even tell Evan and Henry where she's going. She just leaves, and the message she leaves with the guy is to tell them, if I told you where I was going, you would try and stop me. And I'm like, oh Lord. I'm like, and being part Native, I'm used to people going on spirit walks. So, this is what it seemed like, especially when the wolf came and, started growling at her and tried to take her supplies that the guy gave her. And, of course, she hurts herself, and she has to make a makeshift splint and then hobble her way, through the woods. And she ends up seeing this flower that is apparently her mother's favorite flower, or her aunt's favorite flower, according to her mother. And it leads her to the cabin. She gets to the cabin, and then she finds like a tape recorder and all of these tapes, but no aunt. But she does find the green jacket. Well, when she goes outside, she sees a grave. And so we're assuming that her aunt is dead. So Maitri is dead. We don't know who buried her, because she obviously didn't bury herself, but she is dead. So all Nikki has of her now are these recordings, like all of these tapes that basically account for every adventure that her aunt has gone on to not only find the sword, but to also to keep away, basically to keep herself safe. Because if she's the one that truly wields the swords or the weapons, I guess she feels like she's also a weapon. So she kept herself hidden, especially from Tam. But they never really went into exactly who she was hiding from. I'm just assuming it's Tam. But anyway, so she gets the tapes, and then she hobbles back through the woods. Now she did kind of make an amends with the little wolf on the way to the cabin. It got caught in a trap, and she uses a stick to free it, and it just hobbles away. And I was thinking maybe that's how she was able to go home or go back to the guys, because she lost all her supplies. The wolf took her backpack with all her supplies. And I'm going to say my first nitpick about this. So Nikki has the backpack with all of the supplies, right? So she's got the supplies. Why in the heck did she take this off of her arms to go fill her canister up with water? You can bend down with a backpack. I do all the freaking time. I don't understand why she's like, let me set my bag here and then pick myself down the hill with the canister and fill it up with water. But no, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. So now I just had to throw that out there. That was a little confusing for me, but she did manage to hobble her way back to the guys who were waiting for her in the van, and they were sleeping side by side with the little, blankets or sleeping bags, which I thought was really hilarious. So Henry and Evan have both concluded that Nikki is going to pick who she wants to pick, no matter what their feelings are. So they're not going to be a-holes to each other. And I'm like, I respect that. That's cool. So now we don't have this whole my balls are bigger than yours scenario with these two guys. And I like it. Like I said, I kind of feel like their friendship is better than either of their relationships would be with Nikki. I'm just being real. Speaking of relationships, Ryan's boyfriend, Joe, is out of town. And he basically was talking to Althea about something, what to do. And she's like, why don't you at home? Or why don't you go do something? You're free. go do you, boo, while while the partner's away, go and play. So he goes home and does laundry, and he's like, eating ice cream, and he's like, I'm gonna go catch up on this whole season of like this reality show. And I'm like, Ryan's adorable. The little dance he was doing was adorable. Ryan is adorable. I'm telling you, Ryan and Joe are adorable together. I need Joe to be back in the house or be hanging out with him more scenes with these two. But they're adorable. Now, two other things happened. So I'll talk about the mother first, and then I'll talk about the major thing that I said was going to happen because I said it was going to happen, and it's going to happen. So, of course, Maylin is having issues with her husband because she's been keeping secrets from him for over a decade, or possibly decades. He said over a decade. And it's about her sister, her family, and Nikki, basically, her destiny and all that stuff. And he's like, I kept secrets too, but I need time. And when he said I kept secrets too, I wanted to know what those secrets were, because he didn't tell her about going and seeing Nikki at the Shaolin Temple and knowing where she was this entire time. So he had peace of mind, letting the mother worry about her constantly because he didn't find her in China. That is one secret, but he said secrets in the plural. So I want to know what the other secrets were that Nikki's dad was keeping. So yeah, he may have told him himself, but he's not. He's open to the idea of them reconciling, but he says he needs space to deal with technically the betrayal. And I guess I'm going to be the one that points out the elephant in the room. So with Nikki still hasn't told her parents that her Sifu was murdered and that she's trying to get these weapons because her Sifu was murdered. Now it's more about her destiny, but she's still trying to avenge her Sifu. And her Sifu is like her motivating factor. She still talks to her in her head. So you didn't come clean about that. So I'm kind of like, everybody in this effing show keeps secrets. Ryan was keeping Joe a secret, and him not being gay because they know, but keeping Joe a secret until him and his dad had that coming out moment. Now, to be fair, he hasn't talked to his mom about it yet, so I don't know how Mama's going to react. Because she was also standoffish and wasn't wanting to talk about it when he first came out before Nikki came home. So that's going to be interesting. Of course, Althea's keeping a secret from everybody except for Nikki, and now Ryan knows, and I'll get to that in a minute. Of course, I already told you Nikki's secret. Henry probably has secrets besides his criminal record or when he was younger. Evan is definitely keeping a secret because he's completely into Nikki. And then we find out in this episode that Evan's girlfriend left him. They broke up. I don't know if he broke up with her or she broke up with him, but it was because of Nikki. Let's be real. It was because of Nikki. So the girlfriend is no longer an obstacle, which means Nikki is fair game for either guy now. And that's a thing. So, I mean, the idea of the mother just being the one that keeps the secrets is kind of hilarious to me because everybody keeps secrets in this freaking show. So I had to throw that out there because hypocrisy is a thing and I need people to be accountable. Don't throw a stone at someone into their glass house when you're in a bottle. I'm just putting it out there. All right. So, they do eventually reconcile, and because she's really upset about the whole situation with Nikki. She's really upset about the whole situation with her sister. When she was talking on the phone with Nikki, basically on speaker, talking about all the beautiful things and lovely things about her sister that she misses, that's when Nikki's dad kind of saw the pain on his wife's face, and then put himself on the back burner, his anger on the back burner, and he was hugging her. And the saddest scene was when Nikki came home and told the mother that the sister was dead. That was very sad, but I don't know if she's dead. We just see a grave. I mean, somebody had to bury her. She could have done that herself to throw suspicion off herself. So people that were looking for her wouldn't know that she was still alive. I mean, there's a lot to that. Until I see a body and they do an autopsy, with actual DNA, I'm not going to say for certain that the aunt is 100% dead. And if she is dead, who in the heck buried her? So that is a mystery. All right. So here is the portion that I told you I was going to talk about eventually. I said this in the earlier stream. When Althea signed the NDA against Chase for sexually assaulting her, I said that I was in my feelings about it because of the message that it put out. And I said, what happens if other women go to work for him and the same thing happens? And then that could have been avoided had somebody spoken out. They would have been walking into the lion's den. And they introduced a character in this episode named Courtney, who basically is a young, brilliant, computer engineer who goes to a seminar that Althea is doing, where Althea realizes she is actually way behind the technology curve. They were throwing out names of different cycles and programs that she wasn't even privy to, because she hasn't been keeping up with it because she's been out of the tech world for a while. But Courtney still thinks she's brilliant and wanted to pick her brain about some job offers she's been getting because she's very good. And one of them was from Chase. And Althea tries to play it off saying, no, he's a micromanager. You don't want to go work for him. You need to go somewhere where you can express yourself creatively, and you'll never be able to do that with him. And yeah. So her way of trying to keep this girl from taking this job was basically by convincing her that she would not have the freedom to be creative and be, brilliant. And so it looked like Courtney was going to, because she even said, okay, well, I'll take that off the list. Well, apparently Chase came back to her probably when she turned the job down and offered her even more. So she ends up texting Althea and saying, actually, he offered me, the benefits and the salary is just too good, to pass up on. So I'm going to take the job. And so Althea gets triggered by that. And so she finally tells Ryan what happened with the boss. And she also tells her fiance, Dennis, what happens. She breaks the NDA. So I know all hell is going to break loose now because of this, because not only did she break an NDA because she took the money, now she's got to prove that it actually happened because she didn't report it initially and she did take the money. So it's going to make her look bad too, even though the guy is a creep and he did all that. But I kept thinking to myself, and this is why I was in my feelings, you were going to save this one girl, but what about all the other women who went and applied at this job who are going to basically end up, it's going to happen again. And even Althea said that, if Courtney went there, it could happen again. So that's why I was really in my feelings about how they were handling this. Cause I'm like, this guy is a known sexual predator and you are letting women walk in to have their lives horribly altered because you were scared to say anything. And again, I respect women. Obviously, I am one. I understand trauma. I understand, the things you have to go through in therapy to get over trauma. But at the same time, those girls that come after you, I mean, they wouldn't have been in that position if one, not just Althea, if any of the other girls had stood up. So, and I think that this is just the tip of the poop storm that is coming now with Althea because of taking that money. When she signed that NDA and took that money, that to me was that was probably the biggest mistake that she made, because now she's kind of bound to a contract. She could be sued for it. So yeah, I'm interested to seeing how that plays out. But at least she finally came clean. So now Ryan knows. The parents don't know yet, but Ryan knows, Nikki knows, and now Dennis knows. And soon everyone's going to know, because when it comes out, it's going to be a media scandal, which, is going to be a thing and everyone's going to end up knowing. So I'm excited to see what happens with Althea. I'm actually more excited about Althea and her storyline, and of course Ryan and Joe, than I am about Nikki's journey to find the rest of the weapons, to be honest with you. But not saying I don't like the show, not saying I don't like the journey, but Nikki is one of those characters that is she literally has blinders on. So it's just mission, must find this. I know my path, I know my purpose, and everything else just kind of falls on the wayside, which is going to come back to bite her in the butt eventually, because it does with every character that I've ever seen in a show or movie that are like her. Eventually something's going to happen. People are going to be like, hey, but this is important too. What the hell? So Nikki's in that, new, I have a destiny mode. And so I'm going to do what I want to do and whatever. Not saying she's not a good person, because you see her help people too. They do have their people of the week. And in the next episode, she's going to end up helping a young girl, I believe, that is being potentially going to jail for something that, she didn't do. Either she or he or boy, I don't know. It's something about I think it's a frat house or a sorority. I'm not sure. I didn't pay a lot of attention to the preview, but it's another person she's going to help, in the next episode. So she does get the whole saving people of the week kind of storyline, as well as the main mission. So I do like that. So, but I need Nikki to be a little bit more open-minded in terms of asking and accepting help, and also with realizing that there's life beyond finding the weapons because there is. And that's pretty much what the mother was worried about. She was worried that her daughter was going to end up like her sister. And I personally do not understand why they're so mad about it, because yeah, that's your mother. She didn't tell you about your aunt, and she didn't tell you potentially about your destiny. But I mean, that was her sister and her family. And what happened with my mother, with her siblings, I have no idea because it wasn't my business. I'm like, you know what I mean? No matter how that trickled down to me, that was before I was even a thought. So I'm like, people get mad over strange things in these shows. It's really weird. It's just weird to me. I think the dad overreacted, with you lied to me. I'm like, but she could have been cheating on you. She could have been doing all kinds of stuff, and she didn't. Another thing they haven't answered yet is, what is the mother's attachment to their refrigerator? I still want to know what the attachment to that fridge is. I keep having all these crazy ideas. Like maybe that refrigerator is the very first fridge they got when they first got their restaurant. And it's a good luck fridge, and it's kept them in business. And what if they get a brand new fridge and then everything goes to crap? And if only they had kept that refrigerator, So I want to know why she's so attached to the fridge. Is it the pictures that were on the fridge? Did she use the fridge to mark her kids' growth? They just never kind of went back to that. So I'm really curious as to why that refrigerator is such a big deal. And I'm curious to see if it'll be a big deal if something ends up happening at the restaurant. Like if the restaurant gets burned down, will the fridge be this big important loss then? Or something that they just completely forgot about in the story? I don't know. Wouldn't be the first time that's happened in a CW show, to be honest. All right. So that is episode 9. Pretty good. I am looking forward to episode 10, even though, again, it's almost like these little side stories are kind of like fillers. But I guess technically with COVID, you get what you get. And to be fair, they show you what you want in a promo. So more than likely, we'll see a lot of Lady Z and Crow in the next episode as well. So should be good. And maybe we'll get more Althea stuff as well, which I'm hoping we do. So, hey, Yido, how are you? You almost missed the stream. You are right on time. I hope you're feeling a little bit better. Tiny bit. Yeah, I still have my mint tea. So my mint tea is here. And I actually have a cup that looks like my dog actually looks like this dog. He looks exactly like that. I have a lab. So, but yeah, I'm trying. I am trying. This is a pretty wild secret to keep all to himself. That is, yeah, I agree. That is pretty wild. Hi, Ryan. How are you? Nikki is real from Street Fighter. Yeah, kind of. Or like comic book version of Chun-Li when she was trying to find her father's killer, I believe it was. Maybe the fridge is one of the 7 enchanted weapons in disguise. Somebody else had said that in a comment. I forgot who it was now. It said maybe it's maybe not. But they say either it's the weapon or it's what did they say? It holds the weapons. You can hide them like a portal dimension inside the fridge. I'm like, how much did they pay for that? If I knew where my missing daughter was, I'd probably tell the wife ASAP. Exactly. It's weird that wasn't the thing. It's very strange. I was enjoying this series until they got stupid wokey about the 3rd or 4th episode. This series is trash. What did they get super wokey about? I'm just curious. Because, I mean, it is an Asian themed series. And the only thing that I've seen them actually talk about is they had a BLM protest, which happens. They had a little bit of, a little bit, which is surprising for an Asian show, a little bit of basically a conversation about how Asians are being attacked on the street, which if you don't understand that, know your audience, because I'm married to a Korean American and I have a half Asian daughter. And I can tell you living in the South that happens. That's not being super woke. That is absolutely happening. So I'm just curious. Whenever people make comments like this, I need you to be a little bit more, have more clarification. But also, when you're on someone's channel, be respectful, because know your demographic before you make comments. I'm just throwing it out there. So I respect everybody's opinion, but I just I get triggered by people that say woke and agenda and the state of our country and the US right now. It kind of ticks me off. So just throwing it out there. And I guess because I don't feel well, I'm a little bit little bit unfiltered right now. It's happening right now to my coworkers. It's happening. Like I said, I live in Tennessee. So, I mean, and where I live in Memphis, we are a blue dot in a red state. And the one part of Memphis that I live in called Midtown, so I'm giving you a little clarification, is the only area where you are safe to be LGBT. Everywhere else in this city, you are basically told by every church you're going to hell. You are, I mean, it's just not a thing. I cannot go with my spouse in certain areas of the city I spent most of my life in because I already know what would happen. And then on top of that, we have horrible crime and we have horrible systemic racism. And it's just a thing. I worked for a nonprofit for a very long time. And I used to see the disparities between, certain neighborhoods. I see it myself as a minority when I go to the doctor. I mean, I see how some women will go in there and the doctors will run every test in the world and you go in and they act like you don't need anything. So, I mean, this is not a wokey woke. This crap is really happening. So it kind of bothers me that people are like, when their place was getting vandalized and they started inviting people and acting like it was okay, the Black Riot. Okay, I still don't understand. Like, are you saying it bothered you that they were letting the protesters into their restaurant? Or are you upset because they had BLM in the actual show? Because that's just a reflection of real life. So I'm very curious what you mean by that. I don't watch the series, but I've heard it's good. I'll give it a watch. It is pretty good. It's pretty good. It's definitely a different take. I know a lot of people also call this show woke because they made the cast all Asian, which I still find effing hilarious because, again, if they knew the actual origin of the original Kung Fu that was conceived, the conception of this show was by Bruce Lee. And the last time I checked, Bruce Lee was a whole ass Chinese man who wrote a story about a Chinese man and was told he was too Chinese to be the star of this show. So they hired an actor to play a half Chinese person who wasn't even Asian at all. Then when people get in their feelings, I just like to throw it out. And like to remind people that the history of this country has not really been fair. And so being wokey woke and being a person that just wants to have rights that other human beings are given based on appearance, which I personally, looking like the way I do, even though I am half Black, part Native American, half Scottish, people look at me and they don't know what I am. And I'm so ambiguous that I actually pass for a lot of crap. So I don't get as much crap as somebody who is darker or somebody who has an accent or whatever. So it's a thing. It is a thing. Kung Fu has been pretty accurate to current Asian sensibilities. I agree with that. Ryan and his boyfriend, a match for Ava and Sarah. So far, I am loving Joe and Ryan. I want them to have more screen time. They are adorable. It was not a Black Riot. It was a BLM protest. Yep. You really not get what I'm saying, by the way, and I really don't mean to be rude, but you just made a whole lot of base assumptions and one sort of a rant. I don't have a problem with Asians. People vandalized their place and tore it up, and they acted like it was okay and invited those same people in. You really don't get what I'm saying. Try to get out of the perspective you always have. To be fair, Michael, you called it a Black Riot. So, I mean, maybe you should phrase things in a way that leave less interpretation issues, and then maybe we would have different perspectives. Nobody is saying vandalizing a store or vandalizing property in general is a good thing. There are going to be things that I say negatively on everything. I mean, every cause, every group has extremists. They're in the LGBT community, they're in BLM, they're in the white supremacy groups, they're in every group, every movement, everything that you've ever read historically has extremists. But you said the Black Riot. So maybe you should phrase things in a way that will be interpreted correctly. Just putting it out there. People hate when it's actually called representation and equality is laughable to some who hate those advances in humanity. I agree. Assumptions. Yep. Yeah, I'm going to back away now from that because again, I said when I'm sick, my filter is down. So I got to make sure that I keep the review going because I don't want to get political on this stream. And I don't want to get into an argument with people because, quite frankly, again, even though this stuff is happening in the real world, this is an imaginary show. These are imaginary characters. These are imaginary events. If you get in your feelings about that, that is something you need to work out for yourself. It has nothing to do with me. So it is what it is. Move down. Yeah, Michael shouldn't call it a black riot. Like, that's not rude. And maybe he should consider that we're good people on both sides. Shenanigans. No, Michael should phrase things the way he meant. So we know they exist. I agree. We all have the same rights. When you say stuff like that, you totally use me. I'm not trying to get away from the show, and maybe you're not either, but I have to respond to that. Technically, so no, this is going to be, I don't know what you mean by we all have the same rights, but if you're saying that everybody in this country has the same rights, then I'm going to respectfully disagree with you. And that is the end. I'm not going to say anything else to that, because that is called baiting. I'm not getting into that. So back to the show. Lady Z. Lady Z wants to take over the world. I compared her to Lady Baroness from G.I. Joe. And Lady Baroness, I kind of felt joined at G.I. Joe in the comics, especially because, number one, because of trauma, if you know her backstory. Number two, because she basically wanted to recreate the world in Cobra's image, aka what her image really, not Cobra's image, but through Cobra as a vehicle to make a better, more, she wanted basically the Stepford wives and Stepford people. And I kind of feel like that's exactly what's going on with Lady Z. I feel like she is so in her trauma. She is so, because she's never dealt with it. She's never dealt with it. She never dealt with her dad dying. She didn't deal. And of course, she apparently went through all of these surgeries because she was ill as a little girl and she had to have spinal correction, leg extensions. I would love to know what the experimental surgery thing was about. I don't know why she had to have that, but apparently she did. She spent years in rehab. So it made her really able to cope with the pain, and she uses the pain as fuel and to hone her skills, and she uses her anger from betrayal to fuel her ultimate plan of revenge. And that's how I think she's able to get away with, pretty much not only get away with, but kind of like pacify and justify killing people. And she even tried to take on her own uncle, who raised her when their dad died, because she thought he betrayed her too. So betrayal is like her trigger. She is absolutely triggered with that. But yeah, it's a thing. It is a thing. And I kind of feel like Lady Z's going to have an epiphany about something. I don't know if she's going to stay being the main villain, and she might have to have like this huge redemption arc. But I don't think that Lady Z is going to be the all-encompassing villain of this show. I kind of feel like it's going to be Kerwin's dad. I don't know why. I feel like everything's going to go back to him because he also wants these weapons, and he also has spent millions and millions and millions of dollars trying to find them all. And when Lady Z and Kerwin find these weapons, it does make you wonder exactly what is going to happen when they do find the weapons. Like, there's going to be a big power struggle. So it's a thing. It is literally a thing. All right. I have actually never done this before, but I had to actually block someone from my stream because I don't have time for that shit. I'm sorry. Like I said, I try to respect people's opinions, even when I think they are completely 180 of mine. But when somebody tells you to stop being political on your stream and they keep going and they keep using the same ignorant phrasings and rhetoric, I think it's time for me to block. So I have officially blocked someone for the very first time in over a year and a half I've been having on this YouTube channel, and almost a year of doing live streams. I've finally had to block someone from a live stream because I just don't have time to deal with that. So yay, I guess. I'm like, wow. This is a momentous occasion because I never thought somebody would make me block them. I didn't even read the other responses, but considering they were so long, I couldn't, because we were no longer talking about this review. We just were talking about the fact that he has a problem with whatever. I don't even know what he has a problem with, but yeah, he had to go. I saw his true colors the moment he said Black Riot, because that's what they call all BLM peaceful protests. I know. I know. I just, this country is fractured. For those of you who do not live here, it's been fractured forever. If you look at the history of the United States, it was not all roses and daisies and wonderful trees and blah blah blah. It was kind of discriminating from day one, and there has been cultural genocide across the board. First Nations, from First Nations onward, it's not been fun being an immigrant in the United States, which is kind of ironic considering the people doing most of the oppression were immigrants themselves. So something is wrong. And yeah, just problematic. I knew he was trouble back in Wink stream. I guess I didn't pay enough attention to him. So it happens, guys. I love having conversations, but sometimes I miss stuff, and I think it is what it is. He has issues. He had to go. It is what it is. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. So he'll be all right. Or he won't. Not my problem. Yeah, Lady Z is fierce, and her and Ludi together. I'm loving it. I know. I really thought Ludi would have been really good as Shang-Chi too. I think Shang-Chi would be cool with Ludi. Leland is really cool. Like I said, I'm still in my feelings about the whole Shang-Chi mixed erasure thing, because they do that a lot. It's like being mixed is a problem, apparently. You guys will see this again when I do my collaboration with another YouTuber, that we're going to talk a lot about, mixed people in media. Because there's kind of like a double-edged sword with that. When we get cast in a lot of roles that we shouldn't be cast in, especially based on our skin color and how we look. And then when we do have roles that are mixed, they kind of just go away. So I'm like, okay, it's a thing. The dude has issues. There's something wrong. I mean, the fact that you got triggered by something that wasn't even in this episode is just sad. I don't know. That's weird. Thanks for joining, Ryan. Have a good night. And thank you for hanging out with me at 1:52 a.m. That is really, that's pretty late. Hope you have a good, is it Sunday already over there, or is it going into Monday? Either way, hope you have a good sleep and a good day tomorrow if I don't talk to you or you won't check out my stream tomorrow night. I've had Koreans tell me I'm not Korean because I'm part Thai and Italian. Yeah, that's across the board. It's always that way. It's sad. It's really, really sad. And it's not everyone. That's the thing. When I say I've had issues with identity, being, half Black, being half Scottish, and having Native American, that's just the stuff that are on the surface, like immediate family. I know I have a lot more, stuff in me according to my 23andMe, but like my immediate 3, it's always been hard to fit in. But I've always had acceptance. Like I've had acceptance in groups, but not in like all of them. So it's always been like a challenge to me. So when I see a character like Shang-Chi, who actually he's half Chinese and half European, and they just determined that the European side was not important. They're like, no, he's Chinese. I'm like, oh, okay. He wasn't in the comics, but that's cool. And they do that across the board. They just find a character and they're like, pick a side. But then on the flip side, they take a character that should be Hispanic, or in the case of Charmed, half Black and half Hispanic, and they cast, whatever biracial looks the part. Doesn't even matter if they're Spanish or not. They don't even call that cultural appropriation. They're just like, you kind of look Hispanic, so you can play that part. And I'm in my feelings about that, because I'm like, that's reversed what I'm trying. It's really weird, guys. It's very weird. This is the reason why I love and respect you as a person, as a content creator. I appreciate that. Like I said, I try to be fair. I don't want people to feel like they don't have a voice on this channel. But I mean, even with the stuff he was saying that I obviously did not agree with, and obviously at first I thought he was actually misinterpreting himself. If you keep going after someone's like, okay, let's get back to the review, that's problematic. And you know what? Just go talk to somebody else about that on one of the other various YouTube channels that actually use woke as a term, because I know that there's a ton of them out there. So that's that when other people, when you're not completely in line biologically or culturally, I'm other. Yeah, it's a thing. It is really a thing. It's hard. Like I said, I've claimed all my identities. I'm very proud of my Blackness. There's never been one day in my life I did not say I wasn't proud of my Blackness. But I feel like as a biracial woman who is half Black, you have to say that too, because you don't want people to feel like you're brainwashed, because that is a big thing that people say about mixed people. If they accept all of their sides, that you're just brainwashed by the man. And I don't know how that happened, because all I did was have a mother who wasn't Black. So it is a big thing in this country, and it's only here. Like you will see the person that I'm doing a collaboration with has mixed struggles, but it's nothing like here because they didn't have the slavery, history that we have. They did not have the one drop rule. They didn't have the Jim Crow laws. They didn't have all of this crap that was racist as hell, like become a staple even now in 2021. So it's like, we have not healed as a nation because nobody has a reason to heal, because everything is still so messed up, because systemic racism is alive and well. And right now you can't even teach it in a lot of schools. So where I am, you can't teach, anything to do with systemic racism anymore in schools with children. So yeah, this country is interesting. I was having a conversation about Shang-Chi on a different stream, and this is the other person's excuse for it. Shang-Chi being half white was just a force issue that hasn't been important. Am I a force issue? That's interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. I want to know now. Am I a forced issue? Because the reality of the situation is Shang-Chi's dad is Fu Manchu, and he was not a good guy. And more than likely, he probably sexually assaulted Shang-Chi's biological mother, because we've never known her name. We just know that she's a European. So she probably was conceived in a very violent way. And then to retcon that, they made Mandarin his dad in this movie, because you can't not have Fu Manchu be his dad. So that's the real problematic part right there, who his bio dad was in the comics. Not the fact that he's mixed. I don't give a crap what he's mixed is. He's mixed. And like, I don't understand why that's such a taboo thing to say. It's so weird. Like literally no other group of people have to go through that in this country. Like none other. I mean, you go through racism, but you never have to have somebody walk into your house and tell you to pick a side or just tell you what you are. They're like, oh no, you're this. Doesn't matter what you say you are. Doesn't matter what your genetics say you are. Doesn't matter what your mom and dad are. You are now this based on how we see you when we look at you. I did a quick experiment on my Facebook. I even did it on here. I asked people, if you didn't know what I was, please tell me what you think I am. On my Facebook, it was amazing, especially since I have people that have known me for over 20 years and they had no idea what I was. And I was getting everything. I was getting, I had Alaskan Eskimo. I had Korean. I do not look Korean. I am married to a Korean American. I watch K-dramas. This don't look Korean. I don't know what they're seeing, but this is not it. I do get Filipino a lot. I do get every form of Hispanic. I noticed only 3 people thought I was part Black. Only 3 out of like 70, almost 70 comments on my Facebook. So yeah, it's a thing. Hasn't been important in modern comics. And I was like, ouch, who hurt you? Serenity. Who hurt you? Did you mention something about Ludi Lin? I had to grab a drink. I did. He's playing Kerwin Tan. So the evil Tan's, I won't say third son. He may even be the oldest or the youngest, but he was ranked number 3. He is one of the heirs of the Tan billionaire dynasty, basically. So he had his first appearance 2 episodes ago. I think at the end of not last episode, the episode before. At the end, she got in the car with him and made a deal. And he's only helping her to piss daddy off. That's basically why he's doing it. Henry was like the plot in the comics for the character. I'm somewhat aware of the character, but was never into him or the Mandarin and those rings or Iron Man. I'm about to be honest. There was kind of a plot to Shang-Chi, and Shang-Chi's been very instrumental with the agents of our Atlas Foundation and Agents of Atlas. Shang-Chi has a very interesting story. He has very interesting like half sisters. He has very interesting plot overall. But his, like every other comic starting from Golden Age, it's kind of changed throughout, the way it's been revamped and rewritten. It was very stereotypically weird when he first came out. That's all I can put it. It was racist. It was kind of like what you would see with like movies like Gone with the Wind, and you always have like the Black characters always being the maid or the mammy or whatever. Well, it was Shang-Chi actually was very problematic in terms of that stereotypes and all of that. So, but I like some of his like more modern comics, and I mean it's pretty good. It's pretty good. They do that to me. I'm Native and Indian. My great grandmother lived on a res. That's how close I am to my Native side. When I say I'm mixed or Native, they say that was your grandmother. Yeah, my grandfather was from Montana, I believe. Was it Montana or Colorado? I can't remember what. He was Apache. I have to figure out which res he was from because again, my dad was born in 1946, so that means his dad was born like in the teens. So but he was from a reservation, and then my grandmother was born in Mississippi, and then they got together and somehow they ended up in Memphis, Tennessee, because Mississippi is actually worse for people of color, especially back in the 50s and 60s, so and 40s, and pretty much it still is, but I mean, there are just more minorities there now. But yeah, I get that all the time. I mean, I know I look to a lot of natives. I look Native, but I've only had very little. I've had some exposure, but very little exposure to my Native side. So it's a thing. White Fox in the MCU. Please bring White Fox. Oh my gosh, I would be so excited. Let's see. Part of me wants CW to grab a Static show, but I think they will mess it up like Black Lightning, and would rather HBO be, but reality is Kelly would likely even be the project left alone. I mean, isn't Michael B. Jordan doing a movie? I want to see how that does. It's probably going to do really well. I think that's what we need. We need the movie, because I agree with you. Static Shock would be absolutely screwed over in the CW, and I'm not here for that. Though I am curious to see how they're going to handle Jakeem and Thunder. So far, Stargirl has not really let me down. Yeah, they de-aged them a little, at least the rest of the team, but I'm completely okay with how Stargirl is being handled. So I want to see how they handle Jakeem. If they handle Jakeem well, then I think that the writers for Stargirl probably would do a really good, Static Shock. But that's only if they handle Jakeem well. If they do not handle Jakeem, meaning Jakeem has like one episode and then we never see them again, I'll be mad as hell. So I don't know. Taekwondo represent. Yep. That's the form I took. Taekwondo. I took it for years. But yeah, back to the review, because I know we like to get off a little. We just like to talk, guys. That's who we are. I generally like this episode. Again, I was more interested in seeing, the side character stories than Nikki's story. And I know that's so bad, but it's true. I was more interested in Althea and Ryan. Even Evan and Henry story was more enticing to me than Nikki running off on her own again. Because whenever she runs off on her own, it almost seems like the same mission over and over again. And this time she's looking for her aunt instead of looking for the sword or looking for a weapon or trying to break in a museum. And I'm just like, Nikki, sit down, drink some tea. I don't know. Batman Beyond needs a film. Didn't Static and Terry team up in Justice League Animated? They did. And I know that they just announced, I thought, that they were doing a new Batman Beyond comic. So I'll have to look into that, because I saw a news clip of it, but I didn't read the whole article. But I would be down with that. Maria, you are the future that we all look like centuries from now. Let's just all be mix it up and stop this foolishness we have right now. And then we go shift to classism and caste system. Well, we're always going to have a caste system and class system in this country. The hierarchy is real. But I honestly understand when monoracial people say they are so scared of losing their identity. I get it. Because if everyone was mixed, then you feel like that. Like for example, Korea, if everybody in Korea all of a sudden became mixed, they would feel like their whole culture has shifted, because they'd have to split their cultures between all these mixes. And to them, it feels like a part of themselves, their history, and all that is no longer applicable. Now, as a mixed person, I do understand that, because as a mixed person, you're kind of stuck between worlds. You really are. I mean, no matter how you look at it, you're stuck between worlds. And then I had the added on benefit of having a British mother. So I don't even have an American white mother. I have a British white mother. So I don't even know what it's like to be raised by an American white woman, because my mother was never American. Never took citizenship here. Just had a permanent green card through my dad. So I don't know the struggles of somebody who is, basically has parents that match. If like having two Black parents, the idea of raising a Black child, or being Asian parents and having an Asian child, especially in this climate, being Hispanic and having a Hispanic child. I don't know what it's like to go through that struggle, the singular struggle, because my struggle has always been interracial. no matter what relationship I've ever been in, it was always going to be interracial. I never had a choice in the matter. It was always going to be an interracial marriage. So yeah, people don't think about that when they like to drop those boxes and labels on you. It's a little harder to fit in a box when you have all that going on. But yeah, it's a thing. So I liked the episode, and Nikki just got her beat on her 3 stories: family, sword, boyfriend. I agree with that. Like, she kind of just, it's almost like one episode is focused on one of her issues. Like, one is, oh, Evan's got a girlfriend, and another one's, oh, I'm attracted to Henry, and it's, oh, I need the sword, and oh, I'm this mysterious person. She can't just deal with all her problems simultaneously. I do love the fact that when the two were like playing I forgot what song it was, but it was definitely a pop song by a woman. It could have been an R&B song, I don't know. But they were both dancing in the front seat of the car, and Nikki was in the back smiling because she thought it was funny that they were getting along and they were dancing to the song. They were a bunch of dorks. But I think that Henry and Evan are adorable. I'm like, they should just dump Nikki and just go with each other. Be on the spectrum. I hope Kung Fu ultimately expands the universe to include other Asian cultures in California. That would be cool. Maybe they can do some kind of team up with Wu Assassin from Netflix. That would be really cool. I'd love to see Nikki's Kung Fu square up with other martial arts, Taekwondo, Muay Thai. Yeah, I would like to see that too. That's the ultimate thing, because, you know, everybody who takes a martial art, which you understand, is very protective of that style. So, you know, you can't say, well, this will, Aikido would definitely take down Taekwondo. And it's just like, what? Like, you just challenged me. So that's always going to be a thing in that culture, or in the culture of martial arts. Kung Fu versus Kung Fu will eventually get to a point of oversaturation. It happens with any martial arts oriented property. I agree. And more than likely, she may have to actually learn other styles, because just because you take Kung Fu does not mean you are a sword master. It doesn't mean that you have mastered every, art form or weapon form. So, I mean, she's probably going to have to learn other things. And let's be clear, she's only been studying Kung Fu for 3 years. The only thing that's helping her is she's a descendant, of the original woman who had the sword. So, and I still want to know how Lady Z's family got that sword. It's very mysterious. When he killed his father, because she is much indoctrinate to the fan and the whole organization. Wait, did I miss something? From what I remember from the comics, okay, Shang-Chi's mom believes deeply in Fu's mission. She was chosen because she had perfect DNA to mix. That's what it was. To make perfect the Uber baby. She even tried to kill Shang-Chi when he killed his father, because she that much indoctrinated into the fan and the whole organization. So she was pretty much brainwashed. Again, Fu Manchu, it's a cult. It's just that whole character was highly problematic in the comics. But thank you, Serenity. I forgot about that. But I know that I don't think they ever said her name, though. I thought they always just referred to her as the mother. I'll have to go back and look at that. It's been a minute. In Ip Man, I've always found the Wing Chun versus Kung Fu fighting style to be more boring than Wing Chun versus foreign styles like boxing, Muay Thai, and TKD. Yeah, I get that, because Wing Chun and Kung Fu have similar, well, I don't want to say they have exact similar origins, but they do have similar styles. I like watching people that fight in animal style. So like, I don't know, like tiger style versus like praying mantis. Those are really cool fights. But this is from a girl who used to watch Saturday morning Kung Fu movies where, the whole thing where they would, like, the dubbing never matched their voices, which to this day always makes me laugh because it's not that hard to do. Some people are mad that the new static comic is getting political, like making Virgil a part of the BLM protest and that he wasn't supposed to act a certain way. But I love every minute of it. But why wouldn't he? He's black and he's effective. You know what? People can be very wonderful creatures and mammals on this planet. And then people can just be a pile of dog crap. I said it. And it's the ones that are a pile of dog crap. Those are the ones you just step over. That's what I do when I see crap on the street. That's my comment to things I don't like now. Kind of crazy to think about when we live in a country where most people have a split bridge on their ancestral culture and have this new, more recent culture we have today, or Americanism. Yeah, I'm mad I missed your charm stream. I'm sorry. It was a good one. But life happens. Life happens. Now, Wu Assassin is my show and made me so hungry the entire series. I am excited for season 2. So I need to see what happens in season 2 now. I am excited. What happened? Lady Z's dad was so incredibly sad that hit me hard, just awful. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with their father was an accident. Yes, he was trying to sell the family sword. And of course, Peeling was like, no, this is our mother's sword. This was her legacy. It's our family legacy. We're supposed to guard this sword. He should not have ever tried to do that, even though he needed money. But what happened was completely an accident. And it basically shaped, and in my mind, it signed Peeling's death warrant, really, because the sister was going to eventually kill her anyway. So, yeah. Obligatory MMA, every other style comment that will follow when other styles are introduced in this series. Hey, I mean, I'm always down for people like literally learning different martial arts to, basically acquire their goal. Now, Kung Fu will always be her major one because the show is called Kung Fu. But yeah, I would absolutely love for her to learn various martial art styles. I think that would be very beneficial to her staying alive. Jackie Chan, I think he's the one who really brought attention to the animal forms. Jackie Chan did for American audiences, but if you go back, what was his name? Bin Chow. He's in a lot of, he's in the Sword Masters. He played a small role in Storm Riders. He was in a lot of films, and that's when he was older, but he was in a lot of films back in like the 50s and the 1960s that kind of brought a lot of the animal forms. But they're not really well known over here. So that's probably why a lot of people associate that to, not only Jackie Chan, but Samuel Hung. Samuel Hung got a lot of credit for things. Jet Li got a little bit of credit for things. I always call them the Asians that came over and got really famous, like my goddess, Michelle Yeoh. They're in their little Asian elite club. Those are the ones we all know. Those are the ones we all like immediately think about when we think about martial arts. And now I think it's like Donnie Yen and a bunch of other people are kind of taking on or carrying that forward since they're older now. But yeah, they started the American invasion, I guess, with Asian Kung Fu films. And Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon did amazingly for Michelle Yeoh, even though I loved her even equally in Super Cop. A lot of people didn't realize she was in Super Cop. So it's a thing. Don't do it, Maria. Laugh. Makes sense. Virgil could be would in this climate. I have my best friend who is Caucasian and her sister and 2 teenage sons. I mean, I would like to see how Stargirl would pull off Static Shock, though. I really think that would be really cool. I think that would be cool. I kind of want that fridge to be a magical weapon now. I think the mother's refrigerator has to have some kind of magic going on because nobody's obsessed with an appliance like that. I'm sorry. That's just not. I mean, if my refrigerator door was hanging off, I'd be calling my apartment complex. I'm like, you need to bring me another one. Sentimental value my butt. Just come get it out of this house and replace it because my food's going bad. So priorities. Yeah, they don't say her name. I have no idea what it is, but for some reason I thought it was Charlotte. Maybe because of how she looks reminds me of Charlotte Doyle. I can see that. Yeah, I don't remember them ever saying it. Like she was just a minute little character that just had she bred. She was the breeding woman, and that's literally her role, to be the breeder. It's crazy. But to be fair, that is literally Captain Britain's mother, and she just didn't realize it. So I mean, if you really think about how problematic Captain Britain's mother storyline is, why the father chose her genetically to have his kids to try and make her Captain Britain, it's kind of messed up. So it's not original. It's definitely not original. Who were in BLM protesting on Sally, who actually the man of color was too intimidated and I want to do better. Work and school is beating my and the husband I'm running on fuse. Well, I mean, that happens in the world. And quite frankly, I mean, just because you're not out there in the protests does not mean that you don't feel the struggle, that you're not supporting the struggle. I mean, as a minority, you feel it all the time. I mean, what's really interesting to me is a lot of the people that like to get on these YouTube channels and talk about, things having agenda, things being woke, they're only able to say this on things like their YouTube channel. When they are out on that streets, half these people will never make eye contact with you, would never open their mouths unless they're in a group, because mob mentality is just evil. So when I see I hear these things and I read these comments and I, these people tell me that you see this so and so's, video, like I think with Wokemon and like little cute names like that. And I'm like, these are the same people that can turn their computer off, go out in the world and never have to worry about being shot at. And that says a lot because the reason they don't understand agenda and being woke is because they've never had to go through it. They've never had to worry about how they looked, basically affecting if they survive or not. So whenever I see that, that's the one thing that kind of ticks me off. Not what they're saying, the fact that they have the right to say it and there are no consequences for them. They can live in their little bubble and live their little lives where they feel like everything else is just make believe and there is no struggle outside their door. It's the most ignorant thing I've ever seen before in my life. But, it's the way the world is, I guess. I just choose to be true to me, be true to others, and move the hell on. I mean, there's nothing else you can do. You cannot change somebody's mind that they're not educated. They're ignorant in how they see the world because, again, they only see it through their own, their own basically their vision or scope or like I hate saying this, but rose-colored glasses because that's literally what it is. They don't see it because it's not happening to them. If it doesn't happen to them, it's not real. It's just what it is. Let's see. Shuquito. Is that the name? Shuquito? Is that the mother's name? Yuen Bao is underrated among the Hong Kong trio of Jackie, Sammo, and Yuen. I agree. There are tons of really talented, martial artists that never got over here. And I think it's probably because of the connections that some especially Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan, there's no secret. He definitely has ties in with the Yakuza over there. We learned that when they did a documentary for Rush Hour 2, how the yacht scene, that was actually a big boss in the Yakuza's organizations, like I guess the district where they were, that was his personal boat. And they were able to film on it because of Jackie Chan. So Jackie Chan had to have a connection with this man for them to be able to get permission to get on a Yakuza's boat. So yeah, I mean, like I said, we don't know all the politics and stuff over there, so I try not to. I'm very ignorant to what happens in other countries and how they deal with, the media and entertainment. But I know that it is not all sunshine and roses, so it's a thing. I like the Praying Mantis Crane, and I love Drunken Monkey. Those are real things. Yes, Drunken Monkey is a real thing, but I don't think they called it Drunken. Well, they might have. They might have, because there's always been a drunken style of martial art, almost every martial arts, except for Taekwondo. There's always been a drunken style. But yeah, I used to have a book that had every form of Kung Fu in it. And I remember Tiger Sire was always one of my favorites. But there are really, really pretty ones, but then you have the ones that are just goofy. And that was one of them. Drunken Monkey is funny. His kits were so much cleaner than Jackie Chan and Sammo's combined. I agree with that. Crouching Tiger changed films. I parallel like Matrix. Yeah, I feel like Crouching Tiger was one of those that they didn't see coming. I don't think they thought it was going to be successful, but it actually turned out to be. And then it became a big thing. And now I haven't seen, is it called The Sword of Destiny? I haven't seen the sequel on Netflix. I need to watch that. It has a lot of people in it actually that I recognize. And Magnus from Shadowhunters I know is in it. So I need to check that out. Maybe a magical weapon was melted down to make the fridge. And it just has cooling properties. That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, that would be funny if the metal of the refrigerator was actually a weapon. I don't know. I need them to say something. I don't want to have a moment like with Harry's imaginary family in Charm now that doesn't seem to exist anymore. The one he created on it when he was cheating on his wife. I don't want this fridge to just end up in the void of plot holes. When Charm started using Matrix scenes, it was over. That's why Prue is the best Charmed character. I agree. I'm 95% sure that she's a vampire. Who, Swan? Or wait. Shuqi is a Hong Kong. Oh, who was pretty prominent. Okay. And you think she's a vampire? That's kind of scary. Poor Swan finally gets another scene, and this is she needs to leave state space. Her body is ravaged by supernaturals. Yeah. The lady has not aged in decades. Hey, why not? They're mad that Virgil isn't as calm and collected than when Hot Streak was constantly bullying him. When Static got his powers and was getting bullied by him, he had enough and lashed out on Hot Streak. Well, in the original comic, didn't he have a gun? I'm pretty sure he had a gun and he was like shooting at people. I guess that was fine. You know what? Again, like I said, guys, people be in their feelings. You just got to let them be in their feelings. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. People are going to hate what they hate. They're going to like what they like. They're going to misinterpret what they misinterpret. You just have to do the best to be the best version of you and not give 5 F's what other people think. This is how you survive in this world, unfortunately. It's just how you survive. And that's why, again, I will respect anybody's opinion on this channel, but like with Mr. Michael Quaid, whatever the hell his name was, he just was trying to do this to get attention. And I don't like when people use ignorance to get attention. So it bothers me. So he had to go. And now that he is gone, I have no regrets. I mean, at all. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Hi, Kevin. People complaining about Static have clearly never seen the cartoon or read the comics. I know. They've never. It's basically the same thing about Psylocke when people were mad that they took basically Psylocke out of Quannen's body and put her back into her original white body. And they're like, oh, my God, you whitewashed Psylocke. And we're like, no. I know this is a few decades late for you, but no, it was problematic because they put a white woman in a Japanese woman's body. That was the problem. It was not the fact that they separated them. That was the best decision they ever made. They should have made this decision decades ago. That way, all these people coming in and reading the comics in like 2005 and 2012 and 2019 in their feelings would understand that we've been going through this crap since the 90s. So they, guys, like I said, like I just laugh at this point. It's very, very funny. The moment Virgil retaliates, it's a problem, but he can be bullied and made lesser than, and that's okay. And the narrative's sad when something like that makes a person get upset, tells you who they are. It does. It really does. It absolutely, like I said, it makes 0 sense whatsoever. And people are just, they're good people. And then there's dog poo. And sometimes, considering I love my dog poo may be too good of a statement in comparison. It's just what it is, guys. It's what it is. You're going to find it across the board. I mean, in my 20s, I used to be so emotionally upset about this stuff. And now I'm in my 40s. I'm just tired. I'm just like, people, just do you. I don't care. Just stay in your corner. You just run your mouth, stay with your club. I'm glad you found some people that can listen to your drabble because it's not me. And I just move on. That's what you need to do, guys. That is what you need to do. All right. So overall, Kung Fu, very good episode. Again, so excited for what's going to happen with Althea because she just opened up a can of stuff she should have opened up before she signed the NDA. So she's going to pay for that one. And also, we are hopefully going to get Ryan and Joe. Please bring Joe back. I know he's out of town again. I don't know why, but he needs to come back because we need to have more Ryan and Joe action. We also need to see what's going to happen with Lady Z. Is she going to get the last 2 weapons before Nikki? Because, she's got a billionaire flying her all over the world. Nikki doesn't have that, so she's in trouble. And that just means that when she goes to use these weapons, which is probably going to happen in the season finale, Nikki's going to have to fight her to get the weapons back. So that's going to be a thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the next episode. I'm going to go take I see you, Ito. You must have read my mind. I'm going to go drink the rest of my mint tea. Hang out with my spouse. Also, yes, we are doing our Batwoman stream tomorrow after it airs. So we will have that, but it's probably going to be set up like 9:30. So be on the lookout. That's the only stream we're doing tomorrow. Also, I'm about to watch more than likely Black Summer. If you have not checked that out, if you've seen Z Nation, Black Summer is the prequel to Z Nation, but it's a little bit more serious. And so it's a zombie series on Netflix. They already had season 1. They just released season 2, I think last Friday. Last Friday or the Friday before, but I'm a little bit late. So I will be watching Black Summer. I might do a review on it. I'm not sure yet. So I will let you know. If you can think of something else you want me to check out that's not 100 million episodes long, please put it in the comments. And I will happily take a look and see if I can review that for you because, some of the shows will be going on hiatus, so I'll have time to review new things. This is a good time, guys, a good time, because especially with the CW shows, they just throw them into hiatus for no reason. So it's like, 3 weeks off. Yeah, it's COVID, but 3 weeks off anyway. So, all of them will be going on hiatus soon. So I'll have more time. So let me know. Let me know. And yeah, if it is daytime for you guys, have a good day. If it's nighttime, have a very good night. And I will see you tomorrow night with our Batwoman, not season finale, but the episode before the season finale review. Have a good time, guys, and a good weekend. Bye.